I'm hoping this is in focus because my little camera's about had it. Okay, now here's another potential modification that you're going to have to do. As you can see, I've already, bent it down. You have to modify the housing right here because this one is bigger. See it? Right, it's bigger around, right, and it's just, a width of the rim wider because this is injection molded, plastic stuff, Chinesium. I'm saying, and their shit it's never right to the dimensions it's supposed to be. It's always bigger. Alright, so the little lip right here catches on the outside of the housing. Cuts in, it's going to cut into the fins. It's going to destroy it within, probably the second time it lights up. Alright, so, I'm saying you got to cut the sheet metal in slots. You know what I'm saying? Take your pliers and bend it down, flat. I'm going to bend this one outside so that, to give it a little bit more space from this edge. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a cover that goes over the top right here that's going to seal it anyway. I mean, it's all fucked up too, but it's still going to work better than it did. Right? So I've already bent this one down this far, about 1/4 of an inch. Right? And I made the second cut. I'm going to make another cut right here and another cut right here. And then we'll talk about this part right here along the edge. Standard cutoff wheel. Cheap ass Chinese shit. Anyways, we got to start on it. Okay. You can see where I flattened it down. Alright, sound good, 1/4 inch at least. Alright, I took the grinder wheel and, smoothed it all out. Alright, so now we just got to put it back together. There's a little slot and flat spot on the wheel here. Alright, you got it lined up. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you see it or not. But now we got clearance right here for the wheel. Right? Should spin just fine now. Okay, so make sure we're tapped down all the way. Socket over the nipple thing here. Tap her down a couple of times. All in. Ain't hit nothing. Alright, now you take the little clip. Make sure it's seated. Stand her up. We got plenty of clearance. Everything's good. Alright, so now we got the box in, and I actually got the wire tucked under inside the box, so it won't be that big of an issue anymore. When you put your control panel in, see this little flap right here? It's got to end up on the outside, so you got to slide it in where it catches. Alright, make sure it's on the outside. Good thing that comes out right there, you take the wing nut. Make sure it's tight, not hitting. Plug that baby in right there. And then this is the power lead for the control panel, but we'll put that on last. Alright. Make sure it's not hitting. Everything looks good. Okay, so next part Alright, as you can see, when it broke, it broke. This piece that goes up here, for all this is all the connection, the switches and all that stuff. 4 screws that go in there and hold it in. Works best if you use a magnetic screwdriver. 2. Okay, now, for everybody following along, this is the correct way to wire in the new replacement motor. Right, we eliminated one wire, and that was the wire to this switch right here. Right, I'm saying, because the switch was wired into the trailer, right, and the power came right to the motor. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the reset button switch. It still works. You know what I'm saying? But we just eliminated one wire. Right, by taking the power wire from the motor, right, into this block right here. Right, and there's 4 wires to go to that one. Right, the power block, the wire to the ground. Right, this is the wire in here to the switch, and the yellow wire in here to the plug, and this plug. Right, over here on this block, we have 4 wires. Right, this one is the power wire for the motor. This one is the ground. This one right here is the switch. And then the blue one is the wire that goes in the harness into this plug. Inside in, right, that runs into the trailer. Right, see? Now these two blue ones, this one is the positive and this one is the common, are the 2 that wire into the little skinny wires of the thermostat. These 2 right here are for the control switch, right, and the power to the whole thing. Right? Right, now the white one, where the wire nut is, right, that one used to go inside through the hole to the sail switch that got destroyed when the thing came apart. So what I did was, I just, took the sail switch off from the inside so it doesn't rattle around, right, and I just pulled the wires off and I just wire nutted them together right there. So now we don't have a sail switch, right, but we do have a reset button. It will, stop if it has to. Right, under emergency conditions, you know what I'm saying, and I have to come out, figure out why, and then hit the reset button, because it still does work, we just don't have a sail switch. Okay, so, it turns pretty good, it's all level, you know what I'm saying, doesn't make any noise, doesn't hit anywhere. Alright, so the next step, you guessed it, we're going to put it in. Hey, you can't get in there, fool. Get out of there. What the heck's wrong with you? Doobie? King of the desert over there. Thinks he can do anything he wants. Tech tip for stores. Make sure that the 2 power leads are not connected when it's all wired in and the switch on the thermostat is off. Whoever did this before me, they redid the here, they added a piece of, looks like a 1/2-inch plywood, right? And they fixed it last. Right? Sam got all the wires, so you cut a groove right here, pulling it out. So I have no clue how it's going to go on these 3 screws. So here we go. Gotta make sure the gas line's up out of the way. Yeah, edges are sharp, so. Alrighty then. One side, got your control panel in, plug in there, and wires into the trailer. All the wires are connected correctly, except for the bypass. These are the 2 power wires, one for the control box, one for the motor. Right? I just connected the gas pipe. On the inside of this, fellas, there's a round rubber grommet that fits on the outside of the metal housing. You ain't gonna get it back on. Don't even try. Alright, but this plastic one here, alright, that comes with the box, it slides in. Right, it'll still fit in the 2 grooves that slide right in. That's good enough. Alright, okay, what we got left here is put the exhaust pipe back in. Alright, see the hole, and just feed it right in, just like a header pipe. Alright, for all you rednecks. Now see right here, there's this little tab. These 2 flaps come together. Pound it all the way in. Grab the butterfly nut out of the bottle of nuts with the screws that you got. Alright. Where is it? There he is. That's it, butterfly nut. That's it. Then, screw it back on. This one's a little bit more. The other one. All the way in, everybody looks good. I'm not going to do any more. We're just going to plug it in right now. Put down from there. We're going to go, wait. I'm going to open up the gas, wait a few minutes, you understand, light it up, see what happens. Right, because it has all of the disclaimers and all the information that you need to know when you're doing this job. Right, number 1. Right, I'm saying this job is not easy. By no means. Right, and saying I highly recommend, right, that if this is your first time ever doing this kind of a job, working on a propane heater, right, in a camp trailer or in an RV or in a boat or anywhere, right, I highly recommend that you remove the machine out of the out of where it's mounted in, and you take it, and you work on it, by itself. Do not try to work on the heater, the air conditioner, the sink drain, the main water tank pump, right, the toilet flusher. Do not try to work on them in place where they're at. Remove it from the trailer or the RV or the boat, right, so that you can get to the machine and you can do the repair. right? Because if you have to do it like this, then obviously there is a serious damage done to the machine and you need to repair it. All right? Okay? This applies to you first timers that are, you old guys, you just bought an RV and you found out the heater sucks. This is broken for homesteaders who are living in, a camp trailer or a fifth wheel, you're saying, and your heater breaks down or whatever. This video is for you, right? Okay, number 2, right? If you have a camp trailer or an RV like this one that is rather old, it was made somewhere in the early 90s, mid 90s, you know what I'm saying, right? There are very few OEM parts for this style of RV, especially the heater, right? And the stove, right? And some of the wiring, some of the lighting fixtures, like the ones that are up here that work on the DC and the AC, right? So you are going to end up most likely, right, with the replacement OEM part. Now, unfortunately, America sold out a long time ago, you know what I'm saying? And there is nothing made in America anymore, right? The vast majority of OEM parts that you're going to find are made in China, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, or Japan. Now, this is a fact. Back when I was a kid, the biggest joke in the world was it was made in Thailand, or it was made in Taiwan, or it was made in Japan. This is a fact. Some of the most sought after and collectible items that you can find on the planet are made in Japan, Thailand, and Taiwan in the late 60s, early 70s, maybe even as far up as the 80s. It was junk then. Today, it's the best stuff you can buy. But unfortunately, we get the vast majority of our stuff from China, and it's Chinesium, right? In this case here, right, as you've seen, graphically in the video, right, the replacement motor is different from the original. It's the actual, same thing. The only difference is that it no longer has a plug box. The wires are now wired directly into them, and it comes out, right? This forces you to do a little bit of wiring redo, within the structure, right, of all the switches and the grounds and stuff, and eventually you're going to end up eliminating one wire, right? Now this one wire, you don't need it because it's a ground wire, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? The main point is that you should take a photograph of the machine, the heater, or whatever it is that you're working on. You know what I'm saying? The water pump, that's under this bench right here. You know what I'm saying? The garbage disposal. You should take a picture of it before you do anything to it, so that you have an original record of what it looked like before you started on it. And that's what saved me in this instant, because I had this original photograph, so I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I went, and I rewired it the way it was supposed to be, the way it was. Because the directions and the instructions that came with the replacement motor in the little box were in Chinese and Mexican. Right? Okay, number 3. Oh, wait, I forgot. Take notes as you're working along, you know what I'm saying? If you're not a visualized person and the picture doesn't work for you, take notes. Written notes are always good, right? Number 3, wait a minute. I got to put my glasses on so I can read, right? This is another important point right here, right? Brian is a fabricator. I make things. I'm not very good with electronics, with electrical stuff. I mean, I understand the basics and I know what the color codes are and all that stuff. But when I get something wired up, I have this bad habit of not really believing that I did it right. In this instant, I did it right. You know what I'm saying? What happened, why it didn't work when we first lit it off, is for this reason. While I was putting it together, right, the system was turned on and it was energized, and I didn't realize it till it was too late, and I touched one of the blue power wires to the box of the heater, and it's grounded, and it popped the fuse. I did it right. Everything worked, right? You understand? The reason I'm telling you this is because I ended up having to call a friend, right, to come over and help me figure out why it wouldn't light. And once he checked everything with his meter, right, because Ron knows way more about this kind of stuff and electrical stuff in general than I ever thought I could learn, right? So, the point here is, if you're not real sure, call somebody that knows more than you do and ask them to come help you. At least come check it and make sure that you did it right. In this case, Ron said I did it exactly right. My problem was that I grounded a power lead and it popped a fuse, and we didn't know that until he came inside and said, hey, and I asked him, don't tell me it's something as simple as a burnt fuse, and when he pulled it out, he said yes. It would have worked as soon as it lit off if I hadn't gooped it up in the first place, because I touched the wrong wire to the box while I was wiring it. Be mindful. Number 3, that leads us right into number 3. Fuses and circuit breakers, right? Thermostats. If you're working on a heater, like in this case, make sure that before you do any wiring, that the thermostat is turned off and the thermostat thing is all the way down. You also make sure that the circuit breakers in the box in the bottom right here next to the refrigerator in your RV or camp trailer is turned off, right? You don't necessarily have to turn off the main breaker, but turn off the breaker that services the electrics for the heater, you know, saying in the refrigerator. They're usually connected together. This is what my friend Ron told me, right? That way, even if you do touch the wrong wire to the box, this and that, whatever, or your screwdriver grounds it out, it doesn't pop the fuse. Number 4, right? When you go to test the system, right, make sure, because the propane's been turned off for a few days and the line's purged itself, right, make sure that before you go to turn it on and light it up, right, you know what I'm saying, you turn the circuit breakers back on and everything is up to snuff and it's all energized and everything needs to go. Make sure that you have the correct propane tank open that has fuel in it. Because a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, some of the propane, especially these smaller ones on these older camper trailers, when the propane gets down to a certain level, right, there's not enough pressure left in it to push it through the line, right, unless you open up the other valve. A lot of guys, you open up both valves in the propane and you'll suck down at the same level. That's good and bad, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just telling you to make sure that your propane is open before you go to test light it. Number 5, right, concerning your propane connection to the heater, make sure that it is secure, that it's snug, that you have the protective backing plate, the plastic plate that slides in for the hose. You make sure that you have that in place, you know what I'm saying, so that it keeps it contained in the little square where the burner and the propane clicker thing is lit, so that you don't have any unexpected incidents with the combustion. This thing here used to pop and snap when it would light off, and it would scare Teresa half to death, and the kiddies would freak out. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't do that anymore because now it works correctly, right? This is the disclaimer for the video. You know what I'm saying? Please enjoy the rest of the video, right? Just remember, it took me right from beginning to end, this whole project took me almost a month to finish. It's working fine right now. Teresa's happy. I'm happy. Ron says it's probably not going to have any more problems with it ever again. You know what I'm saying? It runs a lot quieter. It runs a lot smoother. It's putting more air, more hotter air out into the, you know, to the camper trailer. It's a lot warmer now. It is currently 52 degrees outside with the wind chill factor making it down to 46. And inside here, it's somewhere around 70 something. It's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful, right? Please take your time. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do, but do it correctly, right? This is me, Brian. All right, please like and subscribe. Share this video if you think other newbies, other new homesteader stoner guys, you know what I'm saying, don't spend a whole month trying to fix their heater.